a notch on Sunday. The Ravens are opening up as favorites against the reigning Super Bowl champs. The Ravens have played great at home. So does it feel like Lamar and the Ravens should be favored over Mahomes and the Chiefs, Peter?
I'm not a Vegas guy per se as far as let me list you underdogs and favorites over time. But I did go into a trusted Microsoft Surface where they have all sorts of information from the interwebs. Do you know from November 1995 to 1997, so from November 95 through the 97, the Chicago Bulls were favored in 185 consecutive games. They were never underdogs.
185.
Home, on the road.
And this is the second three-peat.
Second three-peat, 95 to 97.
Got it.
But when they played the Utah Jazz in the 98 finals, they were underdogs 3 times in those finals. Like, they had finally, people were over them. People were like, there's a team that's going to take this. That's how I feel about this game. Whether it was last week being the underdogs, or people are ready to finally say, okay, but yeah, it's been great, and we're going to give you that credit, but it's over. And I don't see why and how you can do that until they lose this game. How could the Chiefs be underdogs in any game? If you watch Sunday night, what they do and how they pull it together, of course they're losing late in the third quarter. Of course they make all the right plays. And of course it's the Bills, stubbing their toe, doing fake punts and missing kicks and missing receivers deep. The Chiefs don't do that. So to me, this is, I'm not going to say blasphemous, it's just head-scratching. I don't care if the Ravens went undefeated like the Patriots did that year. And this is still the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Kansas City Chiefs in every big game have shown up, and every big game have taken care of business. And with the exception of the Cincinnati Bengals AFC Championship game, which they were up 21-3 and somehow lost, and Super Bowl to Tampa, and maybe the AFC Championship game that you guys beat them, Jason, back in what, 2018?
Yeah, great game.
Great game.
Great game. It was in Arrowhead. You guys did the job. I don't know. I'll take the wherewithal and the know-how and the Mahomes and the Kelsey and the Reed, and in this case, the Pacheco and the MVS and the Harrison Butker and whoever else you want to name, because they found a way Sunday night. Just when it looked like it wasn't going to happen, they do, and they find a way time and time again. So going into a game with my heart, my gut, my mind, everything, I just have seen too much. I can't say that the Ravens, no matter how good they are the bullies or the favorites in this one. That fan base right now, Baltimore, feels really good. They are anxious. They are nervous. The last thing they wanted to see was Mahomes fired up coming off that locker room speech last week.
And you're absolutely right as far as when you're the champion, someone has to knock you off to be the champions. But going into a game where you're saying who's favored, what do these teams look like, got to look at the facts and everything that's gone on for the Ravens this season, because we've watched them and we've talked about it when they've beaten a team like the Lions when they were on top, when they've beaten the Dolphins, the 49ers, whatever team that seemed to be the hottest team in the NFL, when they go against the Baltimore Ravens, whether it was at home or it was in Santa Clara, the Ravens come out on top, and they come out in convincing fashion. So it made me start to think of, like, this Ravens team, what do they do against the good teams? Not just anybody you show, but the really good teams, the winning teams. Bring up the full screen for me, please. This is the Ravens against teams that have finished the season with winning records. This includes the playoffs right there.
That's awesome.
11 wins of winning football teams. You know how you go to a high school game when you're not familiar with the area, you're watching somebody's favorite team or a friend's kid is playing for that team and they're blowing them out. You're like, yeah, but is the other team any good, or are they just dominant because they're better than everybody? The Ravens are beating up on your favorite teams, and they're doing it week in and week out. And it's not really close. 9 of those games they've won by 14 or more points. That is the most in the NFL in the history of the game. Lamar Jackson has been unbelievable. We say it just, oh yeah, they beat up on these teams. But when you go back and look at it, it is factual. So yes, they should be favored in this game. Right now, as you look at that full screen and you see to the column to the right, 1 Super Bowl, 1 Super Bowl, 1 Super Bowl. You might have to start to look at the Ravens like, hey, are they favored to win this thing all at this point in the season based off of what they've done? Now, who's going to win the game on Sunday? That'll come down to the X's and O's and the execution and all that. But as we talk about it today on Tuesday, I think the Ravens should be favored because of everything they've shown us this season, their ability to win games and win them in convincing fashion.
Isn't this the classic battle, though, of like tangibles, which you're giving? These are numbers, these are stats, this is what PFF says, this is how they've done it all season, they've got here. And then mine is just pure heart. Like, I know that the Chiefs are coming. Like, they're coming, and that's the great debate of this sport. Like, how do you put a spread on that?
But Peter, you've had a good ride riding the Chiefs. You did brush quickly past that loss to the Bengals.
Yeah,
like, that did happen.
It happened at home.
That did happen at home. Like, they are not completely omnipotent, and they feel like they are sometimes. That they'll just find a way. They haven't always found a way, and they they did make the big mistake against the Bills. That ridiculous fumble at the goal line at first. It was a terrible play call. It was a terrible play, and just the Bills made more mistakes. So, like, they definitely bleed. However, like, if you're the Chiefs fans, should they be underdog? Hope so. Hopefully. Mahomes is 8-3 as an underdog. At this point, like, I think they've been so dominant for so long. They're looking for stuff. Like, there was this obvious joy and novelty they were enjoying about being on the road. Like, after that, when they're like, yeah, we love Arrowhead, but this is kind of cool. It's kind of cool when they boo you and stuff and it's cold. This is different. It's something fresh. Like, you know, it's like a relationship you need to freshen up after a while.
Ooh. And
also, I think that the underdog thing is part of that. I also think that, like, whenever it comes out 10 years from now, 15 years from now, whenever the Mahomes documentary 10-part comes out, there's going to be this part, and you know Mahomes is going to be sitting there looking at the tablet, and he's going to be seeing people talk about him. And then they thought we were underdogs at Baltimore, and it's going to be the meme and the gif, and he's going to be laughing, just like Jordan was probably laughing. Now, should Jordan have been underdogs? Listen, Peter, I don't know if we want to get into Greg Ostertag and Greg Foster and Brian Russell and Antoine Carr. Those Jazz teams were loaded. They were
Big dog
absolutely
Antoine
loaded. I'm
Carr.
telling you, big dog Antoine Carr, they were built to beat him. They had lost the year before. They lost twice in a row. So, like, I look at that Ravens defense. They're loaded. The Lamar thing is going to be complicated. The defense, there's nothing complicated about the Ravens defense. They're ready to rock, and I don't think they're going to blow it by having Brian Russell get pushed off or Malone get stolen on the other end. There's a lot of similarities to what's going on with the Bulls then and the Chiefs now. I think you want to be underdogs. Should they be? Yeah, probably. The Ravens are really good, and Jason just said they beat good teams and they're playing at home. But that's not like some shot across the bow to Kansas City. Take it. Enjoy it. You almost always win. You're playing against a good opponent.
I'm just looking at this poster behind me.
Great poster.
I know
What do you
we
got?
love this poster. I'm just looking at, sometimes we get a storyline where we're like, all right, defensively, tight end, great. But these quarterbacks are such a gift. These quarterbacks are such a gift. We are so obsessed with the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen experience that did we not see the Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes experience come in? NFL Research had an awesome thing come out. This AFC Championship game, this matchup between these two quarterbacks, first ever time two former MVPs under the age of 30 are playing against each other, which means this won't be the last time we see these two go at it. They've played 4 times. Mahomes has got the best 3 of them. The last game, though, that the Chiefs played and lost to the Ravens was the most recent matchup, and that one was played in Baltimore. It's awesome. Is it just the beginning? We've seen Mahomes and Allen 7 times now. This will just be the 5th between Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. But the fact that the two of them are gifting us this quarterback play, say what you want about the NFC and the defense in San Francisco, whatever. But the quarterback play, sometimes the storyline is such low-hanging fruit that you just have to say, pick that sweet pear from the storyline tree and have it be Lamar Jackson against Patrick Mahomes. Because last weekend was fun. But I think this one is going to be even better because we're about to have perhaps 2 quarterbacks with 2 MVPs under their belt each under the age of 30.
How lucky are we in the AFC? I mean, you've got Allen and Mahomes that we did for all last week, and we treated like that in the Super Bowl. Now you have Lamar, and then waiting in the wings, you've got guys like Herbert, who wants to get in there. You've got C.J. Stroud. You've got Joe Burrow, who's been injured. You've got all these different quarterbacks that just want to be next man up. I think the AFC is loaded with quarterback play. And Jamie, you're right. I'm really excited for this. It's a whole different spin on Mahomes versus. We've had the Burrow and the Allen. Now it's Lamar, next man up. I think it's pretty
The Chiefs win this game. You think it's a wrap? There's a parade in Kansas City? I mean, I know the NFC, sure, it's great. But, like, to your point about the momentum and the find a way, they win at Buffalo. They win at Baltimore. They're going to lose the Lions or Niners on a neutral site?
It'd be hard to pick them as underdogs there, right? Like,
For sure. You think about the run for the Chiefs. You talked about it. Last year, they lose Tyreek Hill. They go on the Super Bowl run. This year, they've struggled throughout the season. It's just like this.
No way they win it this year.
Isn't their year. They're not going to have home field
No
advantage.
way.
If they do that to Buffalo, then to Baltimore, and on the way to Vegas, like that's just.
These dynasties, like, you sneak one here or there.
Yes.
Like, you don't, it's not always start to finish, we dominate. It's like, you come on late, and like, even the last Brady Super Bowl with Tampa, like, that team was dead. They were going nowhere, and you kind of just snuck one at the end.
The last one when we were in New England, we had to go on the road. We lost to Miami, then we lost to Pittsburgh, and it was just like, this team doesn't really have it. And when we had to go on the road for that AFC Championship game, it was like, well, Brady's never won that championship game on the road, and you had to do it. And then, obviously, the Super Bowl 13-3, it was a different type of one. So.
If